All right, I think I'm up and running. Hi, good morning. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. Happy Wednesday to everybody who's gathered, and happy Wednesday to those who haven't. I'm in a hotel room, as you do, and it's a morning. It definitely is a morning after a long drive and a gathering and a random run-in with a dear friend, an old compatriot and coworker. I don't know how many of you saw it before I give away the game. Anybody see? Well, hold on one second. For some reason, my chat just decided to take a powder. Anybody see the video last night that I posted randomly? So this is proof we live in a simulation at this point, as far as I can tell. So Summer and I get into town. This is how aligned the universe must be, and if you move it out of whack at all, it overlaps. So we're driving in, hit traffic around the 10 coming into downtown, and it's just going to be a little bit longer there. And the 15's down to one lane at one point, so it's just enough to slow us past our scheduled arrival, where I would get in time to do the show, and bump eating time till much later if I get in and do the show at, instead of at 4, which would get me at 6, we wouldn't eat till 7, and hunger sets in and yada yada. So to properly feed my girl and to make sure that we get to go to Veggie Grill, which is one of her favorite restaurants in the city, I bumped my stream till 5 p.m. our time last night, and then went till just about 7 o'clock, and then we had eaten, but we hadn't had, there was a craving for coffee and dessert. And just down the street from where we're staying, there is an Earth Cafe, which I enjoy quite thoroughly. Over the many, many years, I have vacillated between their banana cream pie and their pumpkin pie as the two favorite desserts for that place. And the coffees are lovely. Also, one of the few places in the city in general that's not in Chinatown or Koreatown or Japantown, you can get boba tea. You can get boba in like matcha green tea and that kind of stuff. So it's been one of those stops, right? It's over on the edge of West Hollywood. And as it would turn out, we go down there, we get the banana cream pie, for those who are wondering, and split it between the two of us and get a coffee. And we're sitting there outside under the little heat lamps, where it is just chilly enough to be necessary. It was a lovely scene. People gathering. I'm sorry to disappoint all the Trumpists and maggots, but I witnessed no one being bludgeoned, knifed, or shot just for walking down the street, and I quote. So we sat down, and my view of the street is sort of obstructed by a heat lamp, which is just over the little, there's a little ramp they have there. And so I can't see the corner, but Summer can. And she goes, wait a minute. And I lean over and I go, oh, good Lord. And it's Bobby Gantt. And he's just standing on the street corner talking to a couple of ladies who either stopped him or they were having some sort of snack or something or whatever. I don't know what the lead up was. We weren't privy to the opening part. You'd have to ask him. And I just basically snuck up on him and said hi and gave him a big hug. And let me see if I can bring up the let's see the video. I know some folks. Yeah, here it is. And so this is what happened. There we are. So there you go. So that was just really cool and a wonderful surprise and lovely for everyone. And bye.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I have a phone call.
Okay. And so that happened. There's the heat lamp, the aforementioned heat lamp. And I would have, had Summer not been here with me, and had I even gone down there by myself and sat where I was sitting, there was no sound. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Let's see. What do I have to do to make the sound go through? Let's see. I think this is it. Okay. Let's see. Use this device for sound output. Okay, now I've got it. Okay, hold on 1 second. I will fix it. Here you go. I just have to do this. Because I ran into Bobby Gantt and just randomly on the street, and here he is. We're fine. You look great. We're filming. Stay on. People want to say hi. So there you go.
What is this, like a live thing?
It's live-ish. It's not. I'll record it. I'm not gonna post this. No one will know. All right. Anyways, hi QAF family. I just have to do this. So that was it. That was really cool, and a wonderful addition to the evening. It's so bizarrely and amazingly random. Just how in the just the timing of what that required, because this was not a planned meetup at all. I cannot stress that enough. This was absolutely random. We were in town all of 5 hours. What were his? He went, hey, like, which he does. Because I think he had a mild scotoma when he saw me and was like, am I really seeing, is that really Hal Sparks approaching me? What is happening? How is this possible? Yeah. Yeah, it's wild how many times you run into him randomly. I usually see Bobby at like political events and stuff like that where there's a purpose for both of us to be there. This is one of the first like super random moments like this. Yeah. He was looking at the hair. Well, I had my hair back in a ponytail at the time, so it was all face coming at him, so he knew me. He could spot me in that regard, so fear not. But I mean, hold on, let me see if I can shrink this down a little bit. There you go. It was just so cool and random and really nice. Yeah. Isn't that nice when things like that happen? So I had to post that, and obviously we got a few pictures. Obviously, it took longer to take pictures with Bobby because he's a lot more persnickety about how he looks in photos than I am. And and he's just doing great. And yeah. Who's Bobby? Okay, Bobby Gantt, Robert Gantt, played my character in Queer as Folk's husband on Queer as Folk. So he came on season 2, and he was Ben the professor, and our characters were the first HIV positive negative relationship on a series in American television, and first legal gay marriage on American television. So that's cool. So, Bobby and I get to check that next to our Academy firsts. Yeah. So, yeah, he played Ben on Queer as Folk. He's an awesome guy. He's just such a good soul. And, such a joy to work with. Yeah. I mean, really committed to the character, really committed to the story, really present, worked very hard, emotionally and on building and maintaining the characters. It was just great. As professional acting experiences go, you can't top that kind of thing. He's just terrific. with that being one of the key elements of the relationship, how much does it make your heart sing for PrEP medications? Incredibly. I mean, that played an enormous part in people's lives, their safety, their ability to love someone. Of course, and it is my belief that everybody asks like, where are they now? It would be my belief that Ben and Michael are still together, and that he is undetectable, and that had the story continued, I think one of the first big moments they would have, and the big, oh God, this is really happening stuff, would have been a PrEP related sexual experience between the two of them. That would have been one of the big stories. What? What? We're just people showing the Bobby Gantt video, and people ask what happened between Michael and Ben now, because he was positive and Michael's negative. And at a certain point, with PrEP being what it is, and that you can be undetectable and then you can't catch it if you're on PrEP, that one of the big storylines, I think, one of the big episodes, or even maybe the premiere episode of a reboot, would have been the two of them going, do we have unprotected sex for the first time ever? Because that's a big conversation. It's a big leap. It's a big decision. It's absolutely possible. So obviously that would be a story. And it might even be one of the, have you yet annoying conversations with Debbie. You know what I mean? Like, she's pushing him to do it and he's not sure, So like, I just think that would have been a hilarious storyline. Yep. Where did QAF originally air? It was on Showtime. So, and if you're going to watch it, watch the DVDs, because they replace some of the music after a certain amount of time, and I don't like the replacement music. It's not as good. But get the DVDs. Borrow them from a friend or rent them or something. It's crucial. Anyway, so that was just, in and of itself, a wonderful accident. Summer walked into a sex story. Yes, she did. She literally, at the last half a sentence of one. The what? Where is this show going? You bought the DVDs when they changed the music? Yeah. You can rent DVDs still, Andy. There's still places that have. For my ex-husband. Huh? Yes. You could always I can borrow them from Summer's ex-husband. Another story. Don't. Just. I'm cutting the story. That's true, but I'm cutting the story that we go no further. Another day. That's a conversation for a never day. I mean another day. I mean a never day. Oh God, this is the morning show with a peanut gallery is gonna be a mistake. I can just see it. Oh boy, yeah. Well, and it takes a moment for the chat to catch up with what we're talking about, and they're just now going, "You what? you what now?" Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What's up? Hi everybody. Story time with Summer. My nightmare show. I'm surprised she's not going live on her Facebook page right now. just to bring everybody over to her page. By the way, Summer has a Facebook page called Summer Lovin', and she posts these silly art videos. I'm just going to call them comedic videos, funny videos, strange videos, because some of them are like obtuse, and some of them are funny, and some of them are absurd, and some of them are just meant to be provocative, and so they fit all in a big category. It's art. I call it art. It's modern Facebook art. I'm just going to call it that. It's the Andy Warhol to make Campbell soup cans of Facebook. Anyways, so like her page and watch the videos because it helps. It's a living. She'd throw me under the bus and reveal all my secrets. Um, no, I mean, I don't really have that many.
Good story.
She's good stories, but they're not secrets. I wouldn't go, don't. Like, I don't care.
None of that.
No. I mean, some of it, the only reason you guys haven't heard some of these stories is because I haven't told them. You know what I mean? I've forgotten about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that, you know. Like, it's fairly hilarious, but I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. You know.
We'll have to do a show of how we met. How about that?
That's a good idea. We have to do a show of how we met, and then I have to bring on Chris Bono as a guest and have him tell road stories that I've forgotten about.
Oh, God. There you go. That's the one they want to hear.
Yeah, maybe. Although I will say his story of me catching a fly with chopsticks, he can barely get through it. Because I really did that. Yeah, I did. In front of him. Literally just like that. And he was like, it was one of those like, how in the hell did this happen before phones are recording everything all the time? But luckily I did have a witness. Luckily he was sitting right there and I was joking about it. So anyways, we could move on. Hi, Miss Chris. Me too. Yes. So that is a true story. I have indeed caught a fly with chopsticks. Now, all right, should we move on to our trends for the morning? It is, so there's footage of a missile, like multiple missiles hitting the Kerch Bridge out of Crimea, and everybody going, see, totally, look what they did. NATO bombed it, whatever. Like, it's all, okay, that video has been up since May. It was made by, pretty sure, Ukrainians or Ukrainian sympathizers about, like, what's coming. It was meant to be a, like, we're going to blow up your bridge video from May. And people are using it as evidence that it wasn't the truck bomb and that missiles hit it from the sky, which they did not. I think, if I may, let me see if I can find this real quick. There was a Daily Beast story yesterday that, let's see if it's still up, which I thought was quite telling. It's in the cheat sheet. Oh my God. It's gonna be in the cheat sheet. Let's see. It was a. If we're gonna do. There's a story. I know I can find it. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Putin, lawyer. No. Judge. He was a judge. Judge. Kerch Bridge. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, here it is. This is. Talk about stuff that's just like, how random is that? So a judge linked to multiple Putin allies, but who had recently worked on a case with Ramzan Kadyrov's daughter, and was known in Russia for being one of the few judges you couldn't bribe. Which, if you can think of a better way to put a bullseye on your forehead in Russia, I can't think of one. Being a judge you can't bribe. Malcolm Nance said, "Bomb what? Under the bridge." Yeah, I don't see the truck being the thing. I think the truck being there drew people's attention. The explosion itself, the more you look at it, it doesn't look like it came from that truck. Now, it's hard to say because it's Russian footage. They could have cut frames out. It's hard to, whatever. Anyways, it was just so fast, too, that it consumes everything that you can't tell the impact point. There's no way to kind of, and it's so close, which is also one of the sketchy parts of it. If there's a camera like that along the bridge, why isn't there a camera, another 500 yards back that you could see it? there is. So why is that footage not coming out, not the other? Because it would show you where it really started. Why would the Russians have an impetus to not show the full footage if they weren't involved in it? Right? Okay. Anyways, so this Russian judge was killed in. They have not confirmed it, but he's one of four. There were four people in a car that were blown to bits, who just happened to be on that section of bridge when it went off. He was vacationing there in Crimea, which again, how do you vacation in occupied territories? Like, as gross as it is, you can almost understand like Israeli settlements in Palestinian areas, because the idea is that we're living there, they're building a house there, they're going to stay there, and they're kind of shuffling people out. And it's gross, but they're not just going down the sun themselves like, look at me, I'm on your beach or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's a territorial dispute for living space. As bad as it is, you can kind of, I mean, it's not something new. This is really fucked up. So Judge Dredd, no. Judge Dredge, maybe, because he's at the bottom of the ocean, or the sea rather. But Putin is putting people on trial for the bombing, scapegoats. Yeah, and two of them were Russians. The other thing is I think this was a strategy to slow people moving out of Crimea, because one of the things that the Russians are counting on is there a lot of Crimean citizens being there as kind of like, bullet catchers that will stop the Ukrainians from advancing as quickly. If all the civilians are gone and it's only military, what's to stop them from taking back Crimea quickly? Because you're only attacking military, so. Yes. So let's see. So anyway, so this came up, and this video of, and I don't know if they're going to show it. Let's see. Hold on. It's interesting because all the pictures show real footage. Glass sites, right? Okay, that's real. But that also kind of missed. It hit the ground underneath the glass bridge because it's glass on the sides, and you can look. It's a pedestrian bridge. It looked like it blew up the bridge. There's a dude standing on it at the other bend in this, and it didn't hit it. This one right here, like it just missed. There he is. See that guy? Dude was on the pedestrian bridge, or male, female, I think it's a guy. But anyways, it did not knock the bridge over. It hit just below it. They're going to have to, get down in there and make sure that from an engineering standpoint, it's still sturdy and the like, because it hit part of the foundation, but it did not knock it down, and it did not knock it off kilter insofar as anyone knows. It just hit the hillside below it. See this? That's the primary impact point. So, and it didn't go anywhere. Good on them. Okay, oh, good Lord. Look at this. Look what's trending. It did the only tragedy is she, okay, all right. This is the fuck around, find out graphic. Ashley Babbitt's mother says J6 was an inspiring, uplifting, patriotic day. It was a happy moment in her life. She just got to see Trump speak. It's my belief the Capitol PD waged war on American unarmed citizens that day, and the FBI was active in making sure violence happened. Ugh. I mean, you don't get that diluted alone. Yeah, so the follow-up, I mean, Trump killed Ashley Babbitt. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, where was she on? She's on Lindell TV. I rest my case. Also, and by the way, they had her pull the curtains because the light was interfering or whatever because of the time of day they had her on. I do appreciate the production. Look, if nobody nobody can make you do something. Oh, this dude, Juan O'Savin. Guess what U.S. penalty for treason? January 4th. The Stop the Steal in D.C. on Jan 6 will be the GOAT. It will be 1776 all over again, only bigger and better. I will be there tomorrow. Godspeed. Yeah, these people were coming to kill people. Court hearing today for a high-profile cabaret. Zach Allen was accused of smashing the window at house near Ashley Babbitt just before. He's not the one she punched in the face so she could be first through the window. Yeah. Anyways, this is going to be, they're going to read it like, ugh. Halloween Ends is on Friday. Very exciting. I think scary movies will be the reintroduction of most people back into the theater. Big blockbusters and scary movies. That's what they're for. Chris Matthews is trending. Why? Let's see, Chris Matthews. Okay, what did he? Matt Lauer. Around 2009, did most of the major shows book fan. Chris Matthews was, by a distance, the worst, most arrogant interview right before we went live. He said, I didn't read the book. I'm not going to. Jeff Charlotte. Okay. Note to everyone on Morning Joe panel, there's absolutely nothing wrong with needing captions. It's called a reasonable accommodation of a disability. Please, can any of you please consider framing? Yeah, exactly. Is that what this was addressing? Executive privilege is like virginity. Once you've given it up, you can't grab it back. I'm going to go with you on that metaphor, Chris. Okay, so everybody's tagging Chris Matthews in this. Was he on Morning Joe this morning? Is that why? Yeah, everybody's referencing. Yeah, there he is. Okay, so everybody's referencing the fact that John Fetterman used closed caption to understand language while he was being spoken to during this interview. First of all, the Senate is not a speedy body, nor should it be. If you're at the point where the Senate is making snap decisions, where it's not they're not contemplating the long-term effects and considering what they're doing, it's no longer the Senate. It's the House or the executive branch. Right? So the idea that Fetterman needs you to repeat something again so he gets it, most senators would be better off if they went, run me through that again, say that again. Say it. Can you clarify this point for me? So the fact that he's actually, he has to do it because of the stroke is not that big a deal. Plus, he's recovering well. Chris Matthews popped up on Morning Joe this morning and had this to say about John Fetterman. She was soft, she was reasonable, and she asked reasonable questions of a guy who cannot answer the question because he has to look at the monitor. He is answering questions. He's looking at the monitor to do it. He's using closed captioning until his brain comes back online on those small elements. And look, the governor of New York was blind. There was, New York State of all states has had a blind governor. Having a disability should not preclude you, especially in the United States, from holding higher office or being representative. That's just stupid. Tammy Duckworth couldn't run for cover quickly, she couldn't run up and vote and slap it because she's in a wheelchair because she's got two prosthetic legs. That does not mean she's not a valuable member of the deliberative body that she's in. It's gross. The idea that somehow he has to, yeah, right. It's similar to deafness. If there was an explosion and he was made deaf temporarily, or even permanently, that wouldn't preclude him. They would just have to give him written questions. And, yeah, Tammy Duckworth is awesome. Yeah, Greg Abbott's in a wheelchair, for example. Like, having a disability should not preclude anyone from serving in this country, especially in a deliberative body. If anything, he was even making the case in that interview that it has made him more compassionate going through this than he may have been before. He always thought of himself as a compassionate person, but now he truly is. So that in and of itself was I don't know. The whole conversation seems gross to me. Yeah, so he had a computer up and they were putting captions on. He doesn't have to. You can listen to. All right, never mind. Like, it's just a stupid take. It's just a bad take. Oh, it's okay. Shame on Chris Matthews for accusing John Fetterman of having closed caption assistive device. Is that what he said?
Has been closing ground.
Hold on, let me see. Blink.
Transparent.
And we're going to talk to Dasha Burns a little bit later in the show about that interview with John Fetterman. Chris Matthews, what's your read on the state of this race? Dr.
This is going to be a mistake, I can just tell.
Oz has been closing ground, and how much the stroke suffered by John Fetterman might play into a voter in that intimacy of the voting booth saying, well, maybe I don't love Dr. Oz, but I do have concerns maybe about Fetterman's health.
Well, you're saying it the right way, Willie, because there's no support for Dr. Oz. His numbers are in the low 30s. He's a weak candidate. He comes from New Jersey. The joke is he's crossing the Tacony-Palmyra Bridge like everybody else coming down the shore. He's going down the shore in Philadelphia. He's not great, but this thing about the Dasha, her interview was wonderful technique.
Yeah.
She was soft. She was reasonable, and she asked reasonable questions of a guy who cannot answer the question because he has to look at the monitor. This is a great question. I mean, if the Republicans are smart, they'll say, how's this guy going to debate for Pennsylvania on the Senate floor?
Yes, how's this guy going to debate for Pennsylvania on the Senate floor? What if the person had to sign? What if they had to, they had throat cancer and couldn't speak, and therefore wrote all their debate points and had a staff member read them? Does that, because you're not asking for their orative skills, you're asking for their deliberative skills. You're not asking for how they would present what they would vote for, but what they would vote for in the first place. And the distinction between the two is enormous.
Is he going to bring a monitor on with him? I mean, they can be real.
So what? What if he did?
Rough. Now, so far they're hitting him on crime. And even my brother was saying, I'm not going to a Phillies game. It's too dangerous to go downtown. And there's a lot of that talk in the suburbs. So they're going to tie him to crime and the long-term prisoners that he's defended, and they're going to tie him up with that. But still, you got a problem with Oz being from somewhere else.
Yeah. Matthews does ultimately make the point when you get down to it. As much as he's misreading the looking at the monitor and not being able to answer the questions, he's able to answer the questions by using the monitor temporarily while he's recovering. And again, all of this is simply about our, where we are with the level of disability that's acceptable, and it's not his understanding of certain words is what's shaky, and like he mishears some words because of the stroke, but he doesn't mishear the concepts. He's still on a moral and ethical level the same person. So is Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz can speak very clearly, but what he would want for women's bodies is fucking horrible. So you are voting for what they would vote for, not how loud they will be in the chamber. California, okay, lays updates on the war in Ukraine. Let's check this out. Let's see, back up here. Let's see. Ukrainian refugee ends up in the middle of a pro-Russian crowd in downtown Prague by accident and by luck. Avoids being lynched, pushed, spat on, insulted, but escapes alive. That's this right here. Look at these fucking crazy people. She's a woman by herself. Yikes. Okay. By pure luck, I'm not quite sure. By that, I would like to see the beginning of this. It seems like to me she fearlessly walked through that group of people. In situations like that, I'm going to need to see the lead up to the video. Either way, good on her for staying true to herself in the face of that. Rescue workers freed a family from under the rubble of their destroyed home after the Russian strikes on the southern Ukrainian city of Zaporizhia. This is where the nuclear power plant is. Jesus. Can you imagine? Talk to anyone who works in special ed or with people who have had strokes. This kind of problem has so many workarounds. Exactly. The person is still the person, and I think that's also a distinction that we as Democrats need to make. I'm going to full-throated defend Fetterman, especially around this. Imagine if they're if these people are this awful about a temporary disability. Imagine how they feel about people with permanent disabilities. Go fuck yourself. No, 100 times no. According to Russian-appointed head of Crimea, waiting at the ferry crossing in Crimea takes about 3 to 4 days, and there are 900 trucks in line at the moment. Yeah, that whole story about the bridge being reopened right away, not so much. Like people with learning disabilities. Exactly, Sarah. My sister has a disability, and we've dealt with it our whole lives as a family, and she's dealt with it her whole life, obviously. And where she grew up and where we grew up has a major impact on how much it affected her life versus how much it could have affected her life. So. And it's not something I talk about a lot because it's not, in many ways, she's a grown woman. It's her place to speak out if she chooses to. I don't drag her out as an example of something. It's just, I'm not comfortable doing that. It's not my place to do it. But she's my sister and I love her. And like I said, we've dealt with that our whole lives as a family. People's reactions to it. People's, understanding of it, and all the stuff that goes with it. So the idea that somehow, and I would trust her to make better moral choices than fucking Dr. Oz. You know what I mean? If you presented two bills to my sister and explained or allowed her to read the contents of them, the one she chose would be better for people than the one Dr. Oz chose. I guarantee it. So, Russian missiles rained down on several Ukrainian cities. Okay, they're replaying that footage. Whacking material for the tankies. Russia's budget surplus is approaching zero. That's fun. Yeah, remember they were stacking all this cash? Foop. That's fun. Russia's budget surplus more than halves in September as revenue fails to keep up with increase in spending during the increasingly costly and protracted war in Ukraine. Good times. We'll dive into that. Hold on. You guys mind? Take a look at this article. Pentagon chief sees allies providing air defense. I agree. Okay, so this is going to be more on this article. That's Lloyd Austin. Russian air defense plan, right? Weighs retaliatory ban on Russian aluminum. By the way, this right here, the Russian aluminum as another sanction. Can I show you guys something real quick? See if I can find this real quick. I'll pick this up. Let's see if I could drag this out. Yeah. So after the bombing, U.S. government is talking about a ban on or a sanction of Russian aluminum. All of a sudden, Elon Musk dives in and says, we got to end this, right? We got to stop this. He just builds this gigafactory in China, and all of a sudden, Taiwan should be a part of China and we should stay out of it. And then at one point, he starts doing this, we got to get out of, let's see, shrink this thing down. So, why is this text not want to, I don't know. Anyways, here it is. Musk's unspeakable hidden under the Russian-Ukrainian crisis. Tesla purchases aluminum from Russian oligarchs. This is where they get the primary source of Tesla's aluminum is from Russia. There's a bunch of, let's see, boink. Yeah, there you go. Tesla has bought aluminum from Russian company RusAl since 2020, showing how war complicates the supply chain. Tesla and space CEO Elon Musk has vocally supported Ukraine since Russia began its brutal invasion. But Tesla, like this, and by the way, when's this article from? March. That's because aluminum was still flowing out of the country. It was not considered one of the sanctioned elements. Late 2020, Tesla began procuring aluminum from RusAl, the Russian metals giant founded by a sanctioned oligarch Oleg Deripaska, according to invoices obtained by CNBC. The company was not under U.S. sanctions when Tesla began buying from it. The aluminum can be used, among other things, for casting to make body shells for the Tesla Model Y, and has been used in production trials on new manufacturing lines at the Tesla plant in Brandenburg, Germany. You understand this? So you might start to understand why he has a stake in it all of a sudden, or why now he seems to have switched sides or say, hey, we got to stop this thing no matter what. How can Musk continue to have security clearance because he's a military contractor? Believe me, there's all kinds of barriers, but even just because you have clearance doesn't mean you have clearance for everything. You have clearance for the stuff that pertains to what you're working on, not everything else. So, once you don't get like top secret clearance for everything when you have it. You, especially as a contractor, you're narrowed to what your field of expertise is. You don't get to go down to the White House basement and leaf through JFK files with Trump in the middle of the night. Let's see. With another euro 550 billion dispersed today in Ukraine, together with the EU Commission, provided 1.7 billion. Okay, there you go. In a chaotic post-war Russia, Ukraine will absolutely be able to achieve its goals. Ukraine will have motivated manpower who can blend into Russian society with ease. It will have resources and the experience, and it will national security interests dictate. It will have national security interests dictating its goals. Is he making the case that once the war is over, that Ukraine could basically subvert China in the same way a strong Taiwanese government could eventually undermine the CCP if it was found on its knees at some point? Yeah, explosions above Belgorod, Russia. Rumors unconfirmed that missiles launched from the city were intercepted by Russia's own air defenses. Oh yeah, this business. So Russia's their own air defense systems don't make a distinction. So they're blowing up their own missiles with some regularity. There's also that thing about guys not trained properly, so they don't turn off the radar ping on their launch site, so that's why that missile flew back and struck its launch point.
Убегай, Самир! Убегай! Белгород обстреливай должен!
That's a fun way to wake up in the morning. Ukraine's nimble battlefield strategy has yielded military victories and is changing the course of the war. Russian incompetence is helping. Okay, blah, blah, blah. These are not. These are the latest, but not the latest. Let's see. Huge. This is 4 minutes ago. Huge number. Let's see. Russia's irrecoverable losses in the war with Ukraine. This is Medusa in English. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if I can move this over where you can see some of it. Russia's irrecoverable losses in the war with Ukraine have just become known. According to an FSB source, that figure is 90,000. This includes troops that were killed, went missing, died from wounds, or were disabled and cannot return to military service. Holy shit. That's now over half the force they sent in. They sent in 170,000 military personnel. Like they call it troops, but not everybody has got a gun in their hand. 90 fucking thousand killed or injured or removed from the battlefield or captured or went AWOL. It's a mix of a lot of shit, but they're not coming back is the point ever. Good Lord. Just for comparison, the U.S. Russia lost 12,000 soldiers in 10 years in Afghanistan. Yeah. Crazy. Come on, guys. Surely we could hit 100K. Ouch. 7 killed at a market during Russian rocket attack on frontline Ukrainian town. Good Lord. While 16 Iranian people and entities will be targeted for the human rights crackdown and protesters on Monday, EU sanctions for Iran drones delivered to Russia is likely in next sanction package. Yes, probably. 40 content. Okay. Okay, that's that part about there. There's a trapped family. These are the backed up Crimean bridge trucks. Not going in and not going out. 3 to 4 days waiting in line in your truck to get a ferry out of a country, that is that you tried to steal and is now under attack. This is not on the Russian side, in theory, I guess, because this is the Crimean side. God knows what they've got to be prioritizing stuff coming into the country. Whoa, this is Richard Engel. A Ukrainian military officer says hundreds of Russian convicts offered pardons for combat have already showed up on the battlefield in Ukraine, and that some have gone AWOL with their weapons to carry out crimes back in Russia. This goes to the whole Trump saying foreign countries are dumping out their prisons in our country. They're releasing all their prisoners into America. I'm like, you think they've got the patience to wait till they get to the American border to start criming? Again, if you think Guatemala is releasing prisoners and going, shoot, just go to America, and they aren't getting a job with cartels or committing murders or crimes in Mexico or other countries on their way, God knows, which countries he's referring to specifically. It's like, yeah, they're not sending their best. They're sending criminals and drugs. Right, that's the whole, they're just going to go, all right, I can. The one thing about murderous, psychotic criminals is they all have good impulse control and can go a long time without criming, especially when they're walking through areas where, Americans have, locks and police and security systems and, a lot of the stuff that, people in the villages of Mexico and especially in southern Mexico don't have at all. These people are going to go, Like, it's stupid. The whole concept is ignorant and gross. So, but the fact that these guys would go, here's a gun. You know what? I'm going to go back and kill the guy who put me in jail rather than fight here for you guys who put me in jail in the first place. That's that one. Hold on one second. 90,000. That's going to be a big... You're going to see that number hashtagged at some point today, probably. Arms team format, the space of time, missile attacks, partial mobilization, chamber, referendum, counter-offensive, we coordinate our ongoing support. Yeah, so this blows up and everybody blames the truck. I don't buy it. I mean, I guess we'll know at some point, but I just feel like the truck being there at the time is, yeah. Thanks, Galaxy Seeker. Appreciate. Thank you for the super chat. I'm trying to carry Russia modifying 800 T-62 tanks, some probably more than 50 years old for its war in Ukraine. Probably means it's run out of its modern. Yeah. Oh, this is the factory where they're fixing the 50-year-old tanks.
Jimmy's working for the war effort. He's doing everything he can to make sure that the tanks are ready to fight the West. Isn't that right, Timmy? Yeah.
I think maybe I can take this piece, put in this piece. What time does Seagal show up? He's supposed to play guitar while we fix tank.
Looking good, guys. Looking real good. Biden administration considering a complete ban on Russian aluminum in response to its military escalation in Ukraine. Yeah, that's why Elon Musk is freaking out. There you have it. That's why. That's it. Whew. Your world on U.S. role in Russia-Ukraine war. Like, they don't even know which side they're on right now. So, like, just say something generic. I don't know. Counter Russia, Austin pledges indefinite U.S. support for Ukraine through all seasons. Agreed. Yeah, that's the 90,000 numbers coming out. Raised from Ukraine billboards after kissing up to Putin. Let's see. Breaking. Russia with a Schengen visa issued for tourism, sport, or cultural purposes by any EU country will be banned from entering the Czech Republic from October 25th, the government has announced. Countries already stopped issuing visa for Russians except for humanitarian cases in March. Yeah. Russia says that NATO's army of Ukraine is prolonging the war and turning it into a proxy battle. Russian officials have derided the Ukrainian military. Dude, 38 minutes ago? Yeah, they've been saying this all along. This is the talking point. Thanks for chiming in. What? Obviously, the aluminum story is huge, and watch for more squirming from Elon Musk, and then watch as he finds another source for the aluminum, drops it entirely. He was using it because it's cheap. It's no longer cheap. As missiles strike Ukraine, Israel won't sell. Yeah, because they don't have them to sell. They have no extras. It's a little silly. Let's see. Oh, the history of the Ukrainian state. They're sending a book to Elon Musk on Ukrainian history. Russia's new commander in Ukraine was decorated after brutality in Syria. Yeah, they're all like... The last guy he replaced was the butcher of Aleppo. These guys are all the butcher of everything. They're awful. They literally, they hand out butcher of something the way we hand out king of to people in the music industry. will officially offer to mediate negotiations with Ukraine at an upcoming meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Kazakhstan. Okay, yeah, no. I'm sure he'll offer. Issued warning Russia as it escalates. Okay, we've seen this part. Okay. Refused Ukraine's West to use Starlink in Crimea. Interesting. And then, yeah, okay, so that's your light update. Oh, Jerry Orbach is trending. And the reason Jerry Orbach is trending is because people didn't know he was Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast. And this video, and you can go and look on Twitter and if you want to hear the audio, because I'll get a copyright strike. But he was the voice of Lumiere, and he's singing in it, and he's terrific. And it's the two of them singing "Be Our Guest." Malcolm says the truck was a prop and the bridge was rigged to blow up. Yes, it's true. I agree. This is just lovely, and they did it live, like a live cast album, playing along, the singing with the music. It was amazing, like a live show, it's amazing to watch. But Jerry Orbach from years of Law and Order. Yeah, there's people I had no idea Jerry Orbach was, Lumiere, and that he can sing so well, and he was a talented guy. It's one of the reasons why he was around forever. I'm putting so many of you in timeout today, Danny. Anyone who did not know Jerry Orbach was Lumiere has to send me a 1,000-word essay on his role in Brewster's Millions. Right, he's been around forever. Bless his heart. 91, Jerry Orbach was 56, right? Yeah, there they are. I mean, it's just it's lovely. I recommend everybody, if you're on Twitter, go watch it. I'm sure there's a version of it on Facebook. It's just lovely. Oh dear. Do I? I bet it's promoted. There's an Ed Sheeran tour. He's just outside of a place singing, someplace on the steps of something. Good for him. A kid looks more like Ed Sheeran than Ed Sheeran does. As for the 6-foot tall penis statue, me and the Duke of Hastings. All right, that's adorable. Sam Smith says Ed Sheeran gifted him a 6-foot penis statue. I'm going to go with re-gifted. I'm calling it. All right. Boy, this is, again, this is what happens when your government leaders have talked you out of listening to government leaders. Most of Hurricane Ian's 100-plus victims in Florida died by drowning. It's just terrible and unnecessary. If a hurricane's coming, leave. Get a ride. People will come around. Mental health was also a factor in Ian-related deaths. At least 3 suicides and a homicide in Florida have been attributed to Hurricane Ian. Okay. Yeah, there's 100-plus people, and those 3 and the extra one. You're right. Okay. Magnemite is a character in something. All right. Yeah. Okay. So everybody's in love with Magnemite. All right. That's fine. I don't care. Okay. Saudi Arabia. We have reached the tipping point, kids. We are the U.S. is moving away from our relationship with Saudi Arabia for good. This was the final straw. This is it. Ultimately, we've been moving towards this, and everybody knows it. Eventually, their affiliations were going to shift, and they're going to fight Iran for oil dominance to China and I guess to some degree the rest of the Middle East and India and maybe South American countries, maybe if they want to ship it that far. But yeah, we're done. And again, Biden has this thing where he gives everybody a shot, maybe even one more than they deserve. But if you blow it, you're done, son. There is, what is happening to this person? Why is this doomed? I don't need to see someone hit by a car. What's happening? What is it? This guy's stopping cars so this woman can cross. That's nice. Oh, thank God. Videos I've never watched before that just show up magically in timelines are very concerning. Okay. Let's see. By the way, I'm gonna stop at 10:30 today, so my girl and I can go out and about. Just letting you guys know. Nobody fucks with a Biden. I'm just saying. Here's primarily how I think the Saudi Arabia thing is gonna go. We are going to ramp up production and leases in the United States and coordinate. The Iranian deal is gonna go through, and the timing of the top, like, if the Iranian mullahs are toppled and suddenly another government takes over, the swiftness with which, like, oil production will come out of Iran and go back to the rest of the Western world will be enormous and cause a large shrink in the Islamist ruling world. And that's what Saudi Arabia wants to keep. And they want to keep that offline. They want to keep that under the table. And one of the biggest things we're going to start doing is the NOPEC bill will pass, and probably in the next 6 weeks. And then we will start curtailing military sales to Saudi Arabia. And I think the withdrawal of troops from Saudi Arabia, the ones protecting the refineries and stuff, has to be immediate. Thank you, Les, for our emotional, intellectual, and psychological health. This show is my therapy. Hey, chat, best community on the internet. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you, Les. Appreciate that. That's really lovely. And Galaxy says, thanks, HAL Sparks. Watch every day. Help keep the facts straight. Appreciate. Oh, thank you. Yes, I saw that one. Thank you for the super chat, you guys. Thank you for the support, and thank you for just being here and giving me the gift of your eyeballs in this and your ears. So the NOPEC bill, in some form or fashion, will pass. Whether it will have an impact, that's years down the line, but it will be a symbolic thing that shows the real shift. Like chips production, oil production in the United States will be ramped up, or we will isolate ourselves to some degree from the market. And we will start, depending on who takes over in Venezuela, we'll start, drawing down sanctions over there and basically bury the Saudis right as they run out of money. So it'll be in stages. You don't pull a Band-Aid off like this really fast. And there's so many that rely on the oil markets throughout the world. Again, even as we in the West wean ourselves off of it, there's still a lot of countries, developing countries, that if you stop fossil fuels instantly, everybody dies. Billion people dead in 8 months, I'm telling you. So it requires strategy and commitment over time. But we're done with Saudi Arabia, I think. That was an alliance that was always one done holding our nose, and it has dwindled over time. Biden, if you'll notice, did not get the little jewels around his neck, didn't bow at all, didn't shake hands with the dude, did the fist bump. That's a retraction. We have a casual relationship. As much as people are like, dude, he fist bumped MBS. All right, that is, you fist bump close friends. I mean, some of us do, but I hug my friends. You fist bump people that you don't know and might have a wart. That's as far as international relationships go. There's a reason why people take pictures handshaking in these things, because it means a deal was struck. That's nothing. And that's where we've moved back from. Think of the whole Obama bowed to the Saudis, to Trump curtsying to the Saudis, previous presidents all getting the necklace put around their neck and engaging in all this pomp and circumstance bullshit. And then Biden's thing is, all right, I'm going to give you a shot, but bunk, hey buddy, this is close we get, but not much further. We're done. It'll come in fits and starts, but we're done. Yeah, that stuff. That is not a handshake picture. Worldwide, as much as we're like, you and I take fist bumps seriously, the rest of the world does not. Oops. I don't know what that was. Yay. However, I'll give you an example. That is a close relationship. That's a bond. And they deserve each other. Their response to political nonsense with reason. This guy's on Fox. Wait.
For joining us.
Anytime. Good to be here.
We were just talking about gas prices. We were talking about what the president said today in the piece by Peter Doocy from the White House, in which he said...
The piece by Peter Doocy. I wish I got a paper, like I used to, so I could read the actual physical version.
Gas prices are inching up because of what the Russians and the Saudis just did. What was the decision behind the OPEC Plus move, and how do you react to the president talking about it in that way?
Yeah. I mean, the American president. How do you, we as Fox News, we want you to know we're on your side. I don't know who this guy is.
We are very committed to ensuring stability in the oil markets.
Yes, stability. We want to keep prices as high as they've been.
The benefit of consumers and producers. Over the past year, when we saw shortages, we increased our oil production gradually. Now we are seeing, meaning the 22 countries that make up OPEC Plus, we are seeing shortages. We are seeing headwinds in terms of geopolitics. We're seeing headwinds in terms of growth rates, a slowdown in economies throughout the world. And we want to make sure that we act in a preemptive fashion to ensure.
Yeah, and notice he's like, we're seeing shortages. That's the slip right there. What he's seeing is the economy is starting to slow down because of the Fed tightening monetary policy and the like, and they think people are going to travel less, people are going to fly less, people are going to drive fewer miles, shipping will go down, all this, none of which is true, because we're not experiencing monetary inflation. The Fed isn't going to be able to choke this off. They're going to try and trigger a recession to make it happen, and it's not going to work because it's not going to be based on the amount of dollars in circulation. Tightening the amount of dollars in circulation does is make liquidity more of a problem. It's goods and services that are hung up, specifically oil, gas, and shipping related items across the world as global supply lines shut down permanently.
That we don't have a collapse of the energy markets, which would be detrimental.
Collapse of the energy markets.
Not only to producers, but also to consumers and the.
Why? Why would a, quote, collapse, again, what do you mean collapse of the energy markets? This guy is predicting $40 a barrel oil is what he's doing. That's what this statement means. And they're trying to stave that off as long as possible.
Global economy.
Mr. Minister, the president seems to suggest that you all are working with Russia, and it sounds like, and people in his own party say it's sort of like thumbing the nose at the U.S. at this time, short of an election. Here is Ro Khanna, a Democratic congressman, very fired up about this. Take a listen.
The priority is to get gas prices low, and what we need to do is be very tough on Saudi Arabia.
It's interesting. A lot of Democrats have been on television talking about this. Why did they pick Ro Khanna to be the poster boy for this exchange? What do you think it is? All right.
Yeah, after all we've done for that country, President Bush, the first Bush, defended them against Saddam Hussein, made sure that they weren't invaded. We give them all of the weapons, 70% of their weapons. For them to do this to the American people is outrageous. And we should say if they don't reverse their decision, we're going to stop sending them weapons.
So how do you respond to that?
I think that this is probably part of the emotions that have to do with upcoming elections. Saudi Arabia does not politicize oil or decisions. Oil is not a weapon. It's not.
It literally tanked the oil markets on purpose to try and kill the shale oil revolution in the United States in the crib, and admitted to it. If it's not political, what's this high-fiving business with Putin in the secret meetings with him? Get out of here.
A fighter plane. It's not a tank. You can't shoot it. You can't do anything with it. We look at oil as...
Okay. Look, it's not a weapon. You can't weaponize anything. No one can, I don't know, all these stories about Russia weaponizing grain. I don't know how that's possible. Do you make wheat bullets? How can it possibly... Get the fuck out of here.
Commodity, and we look at oil as important to the global economy in which we have a huge stake.
Of which we have a huge stake. What he means is that they take the money that they make from oil, which is just, they were lucky enough to have it under their feet, and they buy in to the productive capacity of the rest of the people on the fucking earth who make shit, invent things, and grow technology. They buy their way into that stuff and then seek to control it because they were born on top of goo.
The idea that Saudi Arabia would do this to harm the U.S. or to be in any way politically involved is absolutely not correct at all.
Check your notes. It probably has the word outrageous written there.
With due respect, the reason you have high prices in the United States is because you have a refining shortage that has been in existence for more than 20 years. You haven't built refineries in decades.
It's weird that we had, and by the way, he does realize the prices aren't only high here. They're high throughout the entire Western world because of a specific drop at 5 million barrels a day from the Russian supply in the world market, period, end of story. Secondly, we're ramping up refinery capacity in the United States, but the primary transition from oil to gas requires that oil to be at a certain price point.
You have now, unfortunately, and my condolences to the victims and to those who were injured. I wish the quick, speedy recovery. You have accidents that happened in a refinery in California, and you have a number of refineries in the Midwest that were shut down. It's as a result of the shortage of refining capacity that you have.
May I? No, like this is where the danger of getting into the afternoon show style. Hold on. American. Find a let's see, 17 million. Here you go. So this is the so let me show you. Fuck me. American refining capacity has gone down in the last, well, it went down obviously through 2020 into 2021 by about let's see, atmospheric crude distillation capacity, about 2 million barrels. Okay, it went down in 2020 into 2021. So there's a lag time on it. I would like to show you, and just think back to what gas prices were in like 2013, 2014. When they jacked up again, but also 2015. So this is around the same zone. Because in 2015, gas prices were fairly reasonable. I think most people would agree, compared to where they are now. Here's the capacity. U.S. refinery capacity decreased during 2021 for second consecutive year. Up from a peak of it was on its way up over time. And then obviously COVID knocked it down a notch, took a bunch of things offline, and this is the total capacity. The operating, and then this is the the tan is the idle line. These are the idle ones in 2020. If you'll notice, there are more idle plants here and here than there are here. So this is a sign of stuff coming back online, facility-wise. But here's 17.9. It's at 17.9. Same as it was in 2014. It was 18 million 100,000 barrels off in 2015. 18.3 it was 400,000 barrels off from that from 2016. It didn't cadaver. We're not at fucking 15 million barrels. The idea that somehow it has been warranted by this is absurd. We have declining. We had, because of COVID, we had declining capacity, but not on the scale that the price is at.
Have a short.
That has nothing to do with like backed up oil. There's like there's too much oil waiting to be refined.
Of gasoline and an increase in the price of gasoline. It has nothing to do with the fundamentals of crude oil supply and demand.
Are oil prices up considerably? Yeah. Did you stop them once they started going down? Yeah. Did gas prices inch higher once you guys did this? Yeah, because of capacity.
The president's asked a lot about that trip that he took to Riyadh, meeting with the Crown Prince there. He often says that it wasn't about oil per se, but people in his party say that they expected something to come from that trip. Was it at all about oil?
The relationship between the U.S.
No wonder these guys like Trump. They all like living inside birthday cakes. I love like culturally ostentatious architecture as much as the next person, but seriously, this looks like a goop ad for bedazzling your womb.
U.S. and Saudi Arabia has been a partnership and an alliance and a strategic relationship for more than 8 decades.
And yeah, I think time's up, buddy.
We have worked together in a way that benefits.
That was an interesting swap. We have worked together to
both of our countries and our people over the past 8+ decades, and we will continue to do so. The visit of the president had a very broad agenda. It had to do with how we can set the relationship so that we can continue to work together effectively for the coming 8 decades. And I think that
no, it wasn't. Biden was not there to set an 80-year agenda for the United States with Saudi Arabia. A phooey, I think, is the phrase that I'm looking for. Okay, we'll grab 2 more of these and then I gotta go. Unvaccinated, #unvaccinate, great. Says the unvaccinated are the most discriminated against group I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. You mean the contagious? Like the people who would willfully clog up the medical centers when they don't have to? Oh, thank you, Water Goddess. Appreciate that for getting the subs for folks. Look, the cup is starting to fill up again. That didn't happen for a long time. Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's just it's weird. Yeah, so that's what triggered this conversation. John McCaffrey, do not under any circumstances take them. John McCaffrey was right. Yes, I've turned into a zombie. I don't know about you. And vaccine follow the science. The crazy left. Again, this is so weird. If the whole purpose of masks and stuff was to control you mentally, is this just these folks trying to tell everyone that they're mentally stronger than everybody because they're acting like assholes? Vaccines are now the new fluoride. That's what it is. Like the fluoride group has just jumped on vaccination. That's it. Sarah, thank you so much. Leather Goddess, thank you so much. Never forget what they did. 3-part video then shared. To the vaccinated, you resisted the pressure. To the unvaccinated, oh my God. Your vaccine was never tested on preventing transmission. Get vaccinated, others was always a lie. Well, no, technically speaking, one of the other things was not taking up a hospital bed, which was the primary reason. And lowering your viral load also makes you less likely to spread it. I mean, this is all just like crayon bullshit. Uvalde superintendent, he announced the resignation. That's been up for a couple. Oh no, Andrea Mitchell. Oh dear. Is it another story where she and Chris Matthews need to ride off into the sunset? Do Chuck Todd and Andrea Mitchell have unbreakable contracts? All right. So now Andrea Mitchell is covering Fetterman's temporary stroke communication issues and interviewing Dasha Burns. That's something totally bizarre about that. Oh yeah, I saw that yesterday where she was interviewing the interviewer and she's like, he had a hard time when we were chit-chatting. Do you speak sign language? Why don't you go interview somebody who's deaf and go, he had a hard time when I really started talking fast, he couldn't read my lips. And it's permanent. That's weird. I just don't know if that person, now does everybody in the Congress have to learn sign? Ugh. By the way, add Andrea Mitchell to the list of things struggle to get a sentence out. And while it's the GOP talking about Dasha Burns, a so-called journalist, she sit down and MSNBC should apologize for pushing this nonsense forward. Agreed. 8. Fido, fuck it, drive on. Dr. Oz tortured 300 dogs to death. Right. Oh, these are the like. Yeah. Andrew Mitchell, why don't you show your fucking medical records because you have a hard time talking? John Fetterman is fine, doesn't have to show his records. Stop fucking attacking him. I understand people's pushback on this. Again, if somebody had been near a blast and they're like, your hearing's going to return, but it's going to take some time. And the interviewer came and went, I don't know, the last interview before the explosion, I was able to talk directly to him. And this time, like, I had to write things on a piece of paper. I just don't think that's good, y'all. Like, that's how this reads. That said, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you guys later today. I've got sound check at 6 o'clock, and there may be a meeting before, so I may bump today's afternoon show. Sorry, because I do have a gig tonight. I will try and do it at the regular time, but if I can't, I will let you guys know. I'm just waiting to hear from when they need me. I just want you guys to know that and be prepared. Fear not. And then tomorrow, I'm driving back to LA. I will get back in time to do the afternoon show at 4 o'clock my time per regular, I think. And then...
what time's the January thing, though?
Huh?
What time's the committee, though?
Yeah, that's all day. The January 6th thing is all day.
Did you want to stream that in the morning and then go, or no?
No, because most people will be watching the Midas Touch stream of it anyways, and then I'll just pop on afterwards because I'll just be watching it or listening to it as we drive. Okay. So that should work out. Anyways, much love to you guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the emojis in the background. Love you guys for that. And I will see you guys, if not later on tomorrow for the regular show. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And thank you guys so much for all your support. I can't tell you how much it means. We got a couple of new patrons again today. And we're trying to hit that 1,000 number. I don't know that we ever will. It's the same thing with like Twitch subscriptions. I'm always pushing it, and it's always an uphill battle. But no pressure. But like, I think Jordan Peterson made like $300,000 a month on Patreon before they kicked him off. Like, I just don't understand. The right wing just will dump money on their side. It's weird. Anyways. I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for whatever you can do. And if you can't do anything, I want you to not worry about it. Okay, there you go. I keep trying. I'm trying to push it. I really am, guys. You guys bug me about it, and I'm trying to do better. All right, anyways, yes, for real, Stargal. Much love, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.